I want to give you a simple way to understand different types of assets and how to put assets in or fund your trust. I like to think of everything you own as fitting into one of three buckets. The first bucket is the trust bucket. These are assets that are actually titled in the name of your trust. When you pass away, your successor trustee can step in and manage these assets without court involvement. No probate. This is the bucket we want to focus on and keep nice and full. The second bucket is the beneficiary bucket. This includes assets like retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks, and life insurance policies. These assets are controlled by beneficiary designations you have on file. When you pass away, they go directly to the people you named, skipping both probate and the trust. The third bucket is what I call the estate bucket. This is where assets end up when they are not titled in your trust and do not have a beneficiary designation. These assets are controlled by your will. And in California, if the total value in this bucket is over the probate threshold of $208,850, your family may have to go through probate court, and that's not good. Simply having a trust is not enough. The key is making sure your assets are actually in the right bucket. That's why funding your trust is so important. Funding your trust means moving assets out of that estate bucket and into the trust bucket where they belong. Let's talk about how that works in real life. So with real estate, ownership of real estate is shown by a deed that is recorded with the county recorder's office. If you are one of my clients, I handle this for you by recording a new deed that transferred ownership of your property into your trust. Be sure to contact your homeowner's insurance to add your trust as an additional insured on your policy. One thing I want you to be aware of also is refinancing. If you have refinanced your home since putting it into your trust, it is important to verify that the lender did not take the property out of the trust, because that can happen. Sometimes lenders put the property back into the trust automatically, but not always. I have seen situations where the property was never transferred back or where the trust name was listed incorrectly on the deed. Your trust should hold title to any real estate that you own. If you are unsure whether a property is properly titled, feel free to contact me and I'm happy to check for you. Next, let's talk about accounts. Bank accounts such as checking, savings, CDs, along with stock, brokerage accounts, generally belong in the trust bucket as well. To move these accounts into the trust, you contact your bank or financial institution and ask them to change the ownership of the account. This is a routine request and they deal with it all the time. They'll know what to do. They'll want proof that your trust actually exists, but you usually do not need to provide the entire trust. Instead, you can provide the certification of trust, sometimes called a trust certificate, which is included in your estate planning binder. Each institution handles this a little differently. Some may ask for the first and last page of the trust, while others may ask you to complete their own trust certification form. If you have any questions or run into any issues, do not hesitate to reach out. If you own individual stocks or bonds that are not held in a brokerage account, those also belong in the trust bucket. In that case, you will need to contact the company directly or the stock registration service they use, such as Computershare. They will provide the paperwork needed to transfer ownership of the stock into your trust. As always, I'm happy to help guide you through the process. Now let's talk briefly about retirement accounts. Retirement accounts cannot be titled in the name of your trust, so they stay out of the trust bucket. These accounts fall into the beneficiary bucket and are controlled entirely by the beneficiary designation you have on file with the custodian. In most cases, for tax reasons, you do not want to list your trust as the beneficiary of a retirement account, although that depends on the details of your estate plan. For example, if you have minor children or a special needs beneficiary, this is an area where the specifics really matter. Life insurance also falls into the beneficiary bucket. Like retirement accounts, life insurance is controlled by beneficiary designations. Unlike retirement accounts, naming your trust as the beneficiary of a life insurance policy usually makes sense and almost never creates negative tax consequences. In most estate plans, this is exactly what we want. At the end of the day, the goal is simple: We want your assets either in the trust bucket or the beneficiary bucket, and we want that estate bucket to be as empty as possible. If you're not sure where your assets currently sit or whether your trust has been fully funded, that's exactly what we help families review here at Woodlaw Wills and Trusts. Let's make sure your buckets are organized. Thanks so much for watching.